So the plan for today is that you will have a Canva account. It might be a pro account, it might be a basic account, but it doesn't matter. And we're going to log into our accounts so that we can basically go through the software, where things are roughly, and then what we're going to do is open up a new document and basically have a play. So that is my intention for today. So we have the interface here, which is pretty simple to use, and we obviously have at the top section straight away that you can immediately search any templates that are on Canva. So for you, Christy, and Carly, and your calendar, you can obviously find calendar templates on there straight away, which is fantastic. But you can search for almost anything there. So you can search for new templates, you can search for current content that you've already created, and you can look for different brand templates as well. So you've got options there. If you don't want to search for something there, underneath the header, you have lots and lots of different options for different size documents. So what you'll notice after you use this for a little while, it will start to just put up here kind of the ones you typically use the most of. So I obviously do a lot of flyers. I've been doing a lot of presentations, social media, stuff like that. So you'll see that that's listed up there. And yours might look slightly different. But the thing you want to remember as well is that you've also got custom sizes as well. So typically, if you can't find it in here, so say for example we put in LinkedIn banner up in the top, it will no doubt come up with all different LinkedIn banners, sizes and stuff, or Twitter banners, Facebook banners. There's all different sizes already built in. But if for any reason you want to do it yourself, you can literally just Google a specific size that you need, like what is the size for A1 or something like that, and then put in the width and the height. But obviously make sure you change this to typically millimeters. If you're looking on Google, it will tell you millimeters for stuff. But yeah, so that's basically how you would start. So you'd search, or you'd click here, or third option, you might create a design. And creating a design again loads this up. We've got the same options again, but they're all down this side. We've got some generic key sizes, and you can put your custom sizes in as well. So 3 different ways for you to interact with this, which is pretty cool actually. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we are going to leave that there for now. I'm going to show you further down here, so you'll see that I obviously work with a lot of different companies because this is a lot of different content that I've created. And the brilliant thing about this is that any one of these documents or any one of these designs I've created previously, and I think, oh, do you know what, I really liked doing that logo design. I want to do that again but for a different client. So I'm going to click the little dotties and I'm going to make a copy, which is great. And that is also great for if you're doing social media content and you want to name it January, and you want to put all your templates in for January, and then into February you're like, oh, I want to do that again, it worked really well, but I just want to change the colours a bit, I want to change the photos a bit. So you'd make a copy and you'd name it February instead, and then you've got your next month's worth of content. So I'm going to actually quickly show you that in practice here, because I've got a client I've recently done that for. So this client here, so if I click into this, what I like to do for clients and for myself is to create a selection of templates. So this is where you go into a design. So if this was blank, if we'd started from scratch, I would, so let's actually do that. So I'm going to start from scratch, and how I'm going to do that, I'm just going to add a blank page in. I'll go through this again in a minute. And I'm going to make the background white, and I'll show you this again in a minute. But what I wanted to do, if I wanted to create a brand new template, when I'm here, we've got these options down the left-hand side. And when I'm talking about templates, I'm clicking on design. And it's going to give me lots and lots of templates, which I'm sure you both know already. But if we put in meet the team, you can literally type in anything in here. It will give you loads and loads of lovely different templates. And you'll see this one here looks remarkably similar to this. And that's basically what I chose. But obviously you can see that I've changed the font, I've changed the colours, I've added some assets. So what I like to do from my own organisational point of view is to create a number of assets. And I know from a personal branding perspective that meeting the team and meeting the staff or shouting out to clients and customers is a really good strategy for getting engagement. So I always do meet the teams. I always do quotes, but I've got quotes in different styles, maybe a client shout out, different sort of client shout out, some sort of big, authority boosting statement, an update. Did you know? So this site specifically has a cafe on site and they want to let people know that, and that suddenly makes you want to eat breakfast. Yum, yum, yum. What we stand for, so any sort of values content or content about your mission and your vision is always really popular. So what I'll do is I'll spend some time going through and actually building this out. So I think, right, I want 2 quote posts a month, and I want 2 testimonials, and I want 1 services shout out, and I want 1 meet the team, and I will build this out, and all the colours and all the fonts, lovely jubbly. So this then is where all my stuff would live. So if I want to go back into the annals of time, I can find everything I've ever made, which is fantastic that it just lives here. So I can find inspiration and think, oh, what was that really good design that client loved? Or what was that thing that really performed really well online? Just go and find it. Fantastic. So what we're going to do is quickly talk about this left-hand side, and then we're going to jump into actually creating. So the home page, if you're ever lost, click the home page or the CANVA logo and you'll go back to this home page. In here, they've started to try and categorize your stuff by client. So I've got recent designs, and then it's tried to organize this. So you can, if you want to, spend some time setting up. Do you recognize this?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
So you can actually set up some time, like setting up client folders or maybe specific campaigns or months or whatever you want. Your templates is here, so if you want to jump into all sorts of different templates and get some inspiration, you can just click on the templates section. And again, if you want to search by template, you can put in when you're on that templates section, you can put in the search bar and put in, say, logo, and they will then categorize all the logos for you. But bear in mind, you can be more specific, and maybe you want to put in cool logo, and then suddenly it's giving you different options. Or it might put retro logo. So really, there's so much content in here. It's wild. I don't know how many designers they must have on the books creating this stuff, but honestly, almost everything that you could ever want is in here. So that's templates. Brand is where, if you do pay for Pro, you can upload your own fonts and colour schemes into here, and that will be under your brand kit. And you'll see that I've got some bits. I don't particularly bother with that, and I'll show you why in a minute. But yeah, you can put your kind of logo and your colours and your bits and bobs in here. And the reason it's good is because you can share it with team members, and then they all use the same colour and the same fonts. But you guys are small and you probably don't need that at the moment. Plus, Canva will charge you more if you create team accounts. It's a bit of a pain, to be honest, and it's actually quite difficult to unteam yourself once you've teamed. So I probably wouldn't recommend it. And then apps is a new section where it's got different things that are going on. This is kind of trying to lure you in with interesting things that are going on, and show, they're building in AI, and they're building in automation, and also automatic scheduling and stuff like that. So they're pretty forward thinking, and the customer service as well on Canva is amazing. So if you ever get stuck with anything, it's really, really good. So yeah, apps, I again don't particularly go into this too detailed, but here, if we look at this AI generated, look, ooh, how interesting. Maybe we'll play with this in a minute. That looks interesting. Yeah. So what we're going to do then, we're going to create a design from scratch. I'm just going to go back to the home page so it looks nice and familiar, and we're going to create a design. So we're going to click create design, and we're going to click social media, boom, and it's going to give us options for different layouts that we might like. And what I'm going to put in here is I'm going to put in I'm going to click Instagram post. Typically, choosing a square is always universally the best thing to do. It will work on almost every platform. Once upon a time, it used to be like you had to have kind of like a rectangle for like Facebook, and Twitter was slightly longer, and then Instagram was square. But square is pretty universal. So we open up a blank template, and you'll notice that on the left-hand side, things change a little bit. So we've still got our design options and our templates, which is great. So if I wanted to put in here, I don't know, testimonial, a testimonial template, then I can just click testimonial and I've got loads of lovely options of things that look lovely and designed and fancy and all that kind of jazz, which is great. I think this kind of stacked thing is quite cool. Depending on your brand, you've probably got something that you could find there. I always particularly enjoy these big speech bubbles because I think make it really obvious really quickly what people are looking at. If they're reading something, they're thinking, is this a quote? Is this a saying? Is this a proverb? Is it just someone saying something nice? I try and make it as simple as possible for people to understand. So that's design. But now what we also have on the left-hand side is the Elements tab. And the Elements tab is really good because, again, we can search for anything. So frames are basically empty frames. So I click that, it is loaded onto this, and I can now drag. That's now a place that I can put a picture in it, yeah? So you will know this. But if I went to my uploads here, and I can just drag a photo into there, and it'll automatically place in that frame. Fantastic. Which is nice and simple. And the nice thing about frames is that you've got all these amazing different shapes and sizes, and it can make things quite dynamic. You know, kind of interesting. Obviously, sometimes photos don't fit, so make sure that they definitely look good. So coming off frames, we've got arrows, logos, lines, and you can click along here, star, circle, blah, 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 blah. We've got general shapes as well, so any shape you can imagine, lines, squares, and these are good for like little shout outs or like limited offer or something like that. We've got graphics. So graphics are anything sort of kind of hand-drawn or digitally drawn. So we've got some nice kind of interesting shapes here with this gradient section. Yeah, so then you've got featured, then obviously things they're wanting people to use. So this might be newly designed assets. And the reason that might be good to use, if it's featured, it means it might be new and other people aren't using it so much yet. Yeah, because obviously there's a risk with anything AI generated or generated from templates that eventually everything kind of becomes a bit samey. So if you can jump on and either use newer content, use content that you import yourself, or have a very specific design aesthetic yourself, that's really good. So I really love, for my brand 22 Midnight, I love really witchy, weird, abstract stuff, a lot of black and white, a lot of big, heavy fonts. So it's really irrelevant to me what they're doing design-wise. I stick to my brand, and I think it's really, really good to do that. But if you are looking for inspiration, then maybe look here for the featured section. Stickers are little animated things typically, which is lovely. Then you've got your classic photos, so any photo again, and you can put in here, let's put in random construction, see what comes up. Look at that, lovely. Loads and loads of construction. What you will notice if you want a free account versus a pro account is that all these little crowns mean that these are premium images, okay? So if I'm going to drag this into here, when I try to export that, if I didn't have a pro account, it's going to charge me like 99p. And obviously, bear in mind, if you're adding a specific text that's protected as a pro text, it could cost you like £5 in no time. So be really mindful of that. And a good way to get around that is to use stock-free stuff. So I particularly enjoy a site called Unsplash. So I'm just going to go on to Unsplash here, and I'm going to put in construction. And I'm going to Google that, I'm going to search that, sorry. And then look, we've got lots of images here that are stock-free that I can basically download then. So you've got the option here, download. And I can just download the picture. They do ask you sometimes to do shout outs on social and copy, so you can copy the content, and I'd just recommend put like on your social media post caption like credit to Salem or whoever it is and that sort of thing, just to cover your back. There is an issue with copyrightable stuff, but or what's even better than those options? Take your own photos. Yeah, absolutely. Because your own photos are way more authentic and they're much more interesting and just personal, aren't they? And actually also, if we're talking about this authentic marketing thing we were talking about earlier, keeping things authentic now is really important. It's not too shiny and not too glossy. So sometimes people can see stock coming a mile off. So then back here, so we've gone through photos. There's also video content here. Be mindful with video content because I have used it before for presentations and then accidentally, well, not realised that I've actually put it in the presentation and then I've clicked the next slide on the presentation and then the video plays with sound. And then you've also got audio, you've now got charts, you've got polls. I mean, they're really developing, and I do use Canva fairly frequently, but even I get like, oh my God, there's so much. And then under elements, we've got text on the left-hand side, and text is lovely. So again, if we just scroll down without searching for anything, you've got some lovely example things that they've got here. Or you can add headings, add subheadings, add a little body of text. So the way that looks, let me just make this picture to the size of the canvas briefly. If I add a heading, I can just click it once and it will be there. I can then click that little A to colour it in. So if I literally just click that, it'll give me a heading. If I click subheading, it will give me a subheading. If I click body of text, it will give me that. And you'll notice that the interesting thing with that was, when I first imported the heading, it was black, and I made it white. So then the next time I clicked subheading and body of text, it automatically made it white. And the reason we do this, so we can put our own headings in, we can change the font, and then when we're in the font, we can then click up here. So on the top hand side now, we can click the text and we can go through about 1 million different font options. And you can also install fonts into this really easily. So especially when you've got the Pro kit. So it actually says add your own brand fonts. So you can download them from Google or Premiere Pro or wherever you want, and and add them yourself, which is great. So yeah, basically that's adding the little bits of text. If you don't want to use something that's already just exists, which was here, and if you do want to just use something from here, you can just click it and it'll automatically put it in for you. So uploads is where you can add anything yourself, so any photos, videos, audio, anything you like, and I do recommend you put things in there yourself. You can also now, rather than upload here, you can also literally go online and then just copy and paste into here, which is great, or drag and drop, which is fab. But what I wanted to show you on this briefly, because we've got this random photo I've put in here, I want to show you when I move this around what's happening. Can you see those little lines? And that is trying to encourage you to have a good design aesthetic. So you'll see when I've actually pulled it to that exact square size, that pink line turns up to let me know that it's definitely a square. And it's quite good to use. And the thing that I'd also just point out to you here, whenever you're going to get something sent to print, always drag it slightly over the edge of your design. So you'll see that purple line exists outside of the white layer, and that's called a bleed. And when you export for print, I'll show you when we're exporting stuff, but it means that you can actually, they'll ask you, they'll say, oh, I need a bleed on it. And if you don't do that, the bleed will be white. And they'll be like, oh, no. So just a little design thing there. Yeah, but then you can just move these all around and it's automatically giving you, look, that dotty line in the middle or the firm line in the middle is the central point. That happens again down here in the middle there. So that's exactly central. Yeah, so it's helping you to not make terrible design, which is great. And then what I'll show you on the top, so this was the text. This is obviously the size, it's simply and easy. Text colour, obviously my brand kit comes up here to tell me what my brand colours are. But a great thing that it will do is it will pull colours from your photographs as well. So if I put in a logo, I can now easily choose the logo colour. Say my logo is that colour. That's just brilliant because now it's all going to be on brand. What else are we going to show you on here? Obviously italics, bold, underline, caps, no caps, how you align it, so central, left, right. If you want to add bullet points, this is quite a useful thing to keep an eye on, the letter spacing. So what I'm going to do actually, I'm going to quickly add a new, slightly more interesting template. I'm going to add this template in. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to show you this. So the spacing line spacing is basically the distance between these lines here. Can you see me going bigger and forward? And what can happen when you're designing your own stuff or tweaking too much, you can put different layers of text in, and then the spacing or the sizing can be slightly different, and it can just give a slightly weird look. So it's just worthwhile remembering to always keep the line spacing pretty consistent. So if I actually was like, oh, do you know what, I like this here, but I'm actually going to add some additional text, and I'm just going to add in, because this is a small body of text, but can you see it's a different size, different font, and if I had an extra line of font there, it would probably be a different spacing. So just try and be mindful of consistency as much as you can. And so when you're using templates, especially if, and this is another way that this can become a cropper. So this is the first standard post we're going to use for social. We're going to then create another one, and we're going to choose another design, because we think, oh, actually I also like this customer review version, and this is great because I like the blue sky, blah, blah, blah. But these obviously look very different from a brand point of view. So you have to be really careful now to go through. That's Glacial Indifference, 13.2 size, black, and spacing is this. This on here is Poppins, 11.5, spacing is 1.4. So all of those things need to change to be one consistent thing. Yeah. So taking a little bit of time to define your color palette, your font, like what your header font is versus what your text font is versus the spacing, and do you always italics? Do you always underline? Do you always bold? How do you do that? It's called a brand guideline, and it's a really useful thing to do, especially if you're not the only one who might touch your brand. So it's something to think about. So then what I'm going to do, just because we're going to then have a play, but I'm going to decide that I love this, but what I want to make it is a little bit more exciting when I'm posting it, because I could just export this as a PNG, but what I want to do is I'm going to animate it. And I think animating is the best. So that lovely plain thing, I can click animate on the top, and then I can just roll through these different things that just make it look way more interesting and makes it a little MP4. And the good thing about an MP4 is it's going to catch people's attention way more than just an image. Okay. The only thing to be mindful of with that, I'm going to make this one animated too. And what it will do, see, it loves consistency. Look, it's trying to make the same animation for all the pages. I don't love that. I like to choose my animation per thing. But anyway, so what I'm going to do now, I'm thinking, right, I'm going to export these. This is a trash, so I'm going to get rid of that. But I'm going to export these brilliant testimonials that I've made perfectly in brand with my brand, okay? And I'm going to export. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share, and I'm going to download. Now, I'm going to download those as MP4s. But I also have any of these options, so JPEG, PNG, PDF, blah, blah, blah. So if I wanted to make one of those a poster, I might download it as a printable poster, like a printable PDF. Or for social, just an image, I'd definitely do PNG. But I'm thinking I want them MP4. The thing we need to do is that it's automatically going to select all the pages. And if I click download, it's going to download all of them as one continual film. So what I need to do is click download as separate files, okay? So then there'll be individual little standalone folders. So I'm going to download, it's going to then pop up with a little thing saying, do you want to save me? And we'll say yes. So now I'm just going to quickly minimize that because my documents have saved in this folder. It zips automatically, so I'm going to unzip it. And I'm going to double click it, and I'm going to open this up and look at my lovely post. Ta-da! And that will repeat on social media, which is fantastic, and it's way more interesting than just that. So yeah, let's quickly cover off the PDF thing. So let's let's just go back to design, and let's put in, information. Even though we're setting, this is a social media design we've got here. Oh my god, too many T's. So let's just do that. There you go. So we want to make sure, right, the difficulty with this one, the brown, is actually the entire background, so that would probably offer a bleed, okay? But if we actually went and put a photo into here, so let's drag in these people here, and we're going to make them over the size that we want. we're going to make sure that we just drag that over the edge. And you'll see that obviously this isn't the perfect size. But we're just going to drag it so that that little bit is over the edge. Okay, so then we're going to think, right, page 2, we want to share that. So we're going to download it, and we're going to choose PDF for print, and it's going to ask crop, marks and bleed, flatten PDF, and I choose both of those. But then we're obviously going to make sure we're only selecting the page that we want. So we're going to unselect that and pick page 2, and done. And we're going to so also down here, RGB, best for digital use, is fine. CMYK is best for digital printing, but you'll notice that that's got a little pro crown against it. You will get away with it if it's RGB, but you might find at the printers that the colour is slightly different. It's just the way that it encrypts the colour onto the document for them. So we're going to download that terrible thing that I've done and we'll have a little look at it, and it should show you how the bleed is working. And you'll see, look, that's crops and bleeds there. Okay, so yeah, that's on there for them. Yeah, so let me also, just very quickly, because you just mentioned something and I thought, oh, I ought to talk about that too. I was thinking about on here the additional things that you can use. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just bring Beatrice back into here, so she's going to hate me. I'm going to bring her in as a whole picture. So the difference between clicking once and dragging over is if you drag it over, it will fill the entire space. Yeah. But what I want to do is I want to actually edit this. And one of the best things that I love Canva Pro for is this background remover. So I can actually click that and it will work out what's her and what's not. And look at that magical little flash it did. And then it's going to, oh, why has it done that for? No. Oh, ta-da! There you go. I don't know why she looks like a strange thing, but I think it was the background of the photo or something. But yeah, so it takes away the background, which is brilliant. But I'm now thinking I also want to do some more editing to this photo. This doesn't have to be a person, it could be anything. So you click Edit, and then on the left-hand side, where are you? Oh, it's getting a bit glitchy. The matrix is glitching. So here we've got Magic Studio. So now it does magic erasing, it does like selecting specific parts, and you can really go crazy here with filters, or you can, I really like these kind of like duotone, it's really cool for like a cool aesthetic, especially for a whole image to be done. But yeah, blurring effects, you've got loads and loads of like retouching now. So that's a nice area to go to have a little play with things, because you can also do the same with text layers as well. So if we go back to this absolutely terrible thing that's being created here, let's click that and put some text in. We can also click effects up here for text, and we get lots of lovely effects for text as well. So what I'm going to do for the video stuff, we're going to go back to home, and I'm going to click the video one there, and I'm going to let it load up for a second. Again, you get all the options, TikTok videos, so you're thinking about stories, reels, that sort of stuff, YouTube sizes, mobile phones. So just be mindful. So that video is 1920 by 1080, so that is a landscape. And this one is 1080 by 1920, so that would be portrait. So just be mindful when you're going into things, you might be like, why is that shape and not that shape? Right, we're just going to click this real one up here instead. Right, there you go. So the way it looks different on a video is that you've got this underneath, this counting timeline, okay? So what we want to do, we've got our blank here and it's 5 seconds long. So obviously what we want to do is fill that up with some sort of content. So now, this is where we'd go to elements, and this time we'd go to, let's go for dogs, because we've got a dog lover in the room. So we're going to go not to any of these other things, we're going to go to videos. You can obviously put images in, not videos. So what we're going to do, we're going to drag over this dog onto here, and we're going to, I wonder if I take that out actually, if I hover it over. See, it does that weird thing. When it does that weird thing, that you know it's going to fill the whole space. Look how cute. Oh my God. But I'm thinking, I don't really want that to be 7.8 seconds long. So I'm going to just drag the end of it and make it about 2 seconds long. Okay? But then I'm going to add a page. And I'm going to add a different dog. So I'm now going to add this dog. It's just really similar to the other thing we were looking at. And I'm going to, again, this is 24 seconds long, so I'm going to make that 1.8 seconds long. And then I'm going to put one more dog in for good measure. Oh, these dogs are giving me life. Look how cute they are. Ah, look. Okay. I'm going to make that 1.8 seconds long. So now we've got a little video forming of 1 dog, 2 dog, 3 dogs. Lovely.
That's really clever.
But what I'm going to do is I also want to have some sort of text. Yeah. So I'm going to click the text folder. I'm going to add a heading and I'm going to put cute dog. And I'm going to make it white. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to animate that. So I'm going to have cute dog coming in like a little typewriter. Okay? And then I'm going to think about this one and I'm going to add some text to this one. And I'm going to put in another heading and I'm going to put cuter, question mark. Obviously people are going to compete across the internet to vote on the cutest dog and I'm going to animate that as well. So that's going to be like a shift. Okay, so then I've suddenly got a cute dog. Cuter. Yeah. Okay.
That's really clever.
And then I can add some audio as well here. So I'm going to add, I don't know, jazz dogs, brought to you by Gosport Borough Council. So I'm just going to put Whiskey on the Rocks underneath it. So you'll see my audio track is underneath now. You can do so. You might want that bit of audio just for the first dog, and then make a second bit of music for the second dog. Along the top of the design, you've got duplicates. If I want to duplicate that page, I can duplicate that specific page easily enough. If I want to delete it, I can. If I want to add a brand new page that's clear, I can just add that there. But I was going to show you actually the magazine style thing that was made on here and is being printed and used across Gosport, and that was here. So what you'll see is this magazine here, Seen and Heard, was created in CANVA. So it was done page by page, and then this was exported and sent to print. And they were trying to kind of do a bit of a rock and roll thing with the layout and the look and feel. But if we wanted literally to add a new page into this, again, with our design, and we put in magazine, it literally has so many options for magazine pages. And what you'll see, it won't just be one, it'll flick through the multiple pages, the possible page designs. So you just need to spend some time setting it up and liking all of them or not. And maybe you think you want 1, 2, and 3 from this design, and then maybe you want page 2, 15, and 20 from that one. But just make sure they're all on brand. Thank you guys for attending the CANVA workshop, and I hope that you found some of that useful. If you do want to get in touch with Gosport Borough Council, you can do via the links below. And if you need any additional digital support, just let me know. Thanks very much.